Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, my name is Tiha. I'm a first year business student studying in Hong Kong. In this video, I would like to share about study tips, specifically about International Baccalaureate exam. So if you're studying A-levels or any other examination boards, this video might not be for you, but if you're studying IB, this video is definitely for you. Even if you're not doing IB, you can skip to the parts where they will share about study tips, which I think applies to everyone. So yeah, I'll put the timestamps in the description below so you can check that out and skip to the study tips so you can watch. So today, I have here two IB graduates. Please introduce yourselves.
My name is Serag. I'm from Egypt. I did IB in Egypt, and I'm studying energy and environmental engineering here at CUHK. My IB subjects, my HL subjects were math, chemistry, physics, and Arabic B. My SL subjects were English and Language Lit and economics. My total IB score was 42.
Yeah, so hi, I'm Matthew, and I did the IB in Hong Kong. So my high levels were chemistry, physics, and Chinese B. And my standard levels were mathematics, economics, and English literature. And I achieved 44 out of 45 for my IB examination.
Cool. The first part will be about the general aspects of the IB, the introduction. And the second part will be the technical aspects of the IB. And the third part will be their personal experiences throughout their IB journey. So let's get started with the first part, which will be the general aspects of the IB. So, first impression of IB. What did you think about IB before actually doing it?
Well, for my seniors, I thought it was pretty hard. They all said it was... Because in my middle school, I did GCSEs, which was not that hard. And then the seniors all said IB would be a massive step up from GCSEs. So my first impression was difficult subjects, difficult exams, and difficult coursework. So it sounded like a really busy schedule for me.
Yeah, my experience is about the same. Before joining IB, all I'd hear is people complaining about it, saying how hard it is and how you can never get a good score and how much stress and lots of work and everything. So it wasn't a very good introduction to IB. But yeah, that was my general impression of it before I joined.
Why did you do IB in the first place then?
Personally, I did IB because there were two streams in my school, so either do IB or you don't do IB. You just graduate with an American diploma and like you do an SAT, for example, but there was no like advanced placement system or anything. So to really make my high school results more competitive, I thought IB is the way to go. And it really does help you out when you come to apply to university, especially if you're applying outside of the US, like in Europe, in Canada, here in Asia. And also because I feel like it gave me more rigorous classes that I actually did want to learn. Math, physics especially, you really go in depth and it teaches you a lot of things that will prepare you for university.
Why did you do IB?
Yeah, about the same, because in the name it says international, right? So IB is really accepted all around the world. Asia, US, UK, Australia, anywhere you want to go, IB is accepted. And also, I heard from my seniors that IB is really good experience for you to get ready for university with all your papers, with all the examinations and stuff, and writing long essays over 2,000 or 3,000 words. IB really prepares you well for that.
All the IB students who are doing IB, they're like, it's so hard. IB is so freaking hard. Like it's much harder than A-levels and stuff. How hard was IB for you guys?
Oh man, I think in general it wasn't as hard as all the how to
yeah,
out to be.
I agree.
That's something most people experience. That it's really not. It really doesn't have to be as hard as you think it is. But definitely, like the times where my workload was the highest, it really did get really like a lot of work, and it was quite stressful at times. There's so much you're expected to know, so much you're expected to learn, especially if your HLs have science or like math. There's so much content that they expect you to learn in 2 years that you then have to like know just for one exam that lasts, like 3 or 4 hours. But in general, it was always doable. There was never a time where I was like, this is actually really, really hard, I can't do this. It's manageable at all times.
Yeah, same for me, but I think the hardest bit was deadlines with the internal assessments and your EEs and things.
The second part will be the technical aspects of the IB. About the syllabus, about how IB is structured, like which courses you can take in IB, how many subjects and stuff like this. So yeah, I don't actually have an idea of what IB is actually like. So yeah, can you please share us what the IB structure is like? How many subjects do you have to take? HOs, SOs, EEs, CAS, stuff.
You go through it and then I'll fill in any gaps you miss.
Alright.
Yeah.
Okay, so basically IB, it's composed of 6 subject groups. In each subject group you choose a subject. So the first group is languages. Just choose the language that it's usually that you choose the language that you've been learning in for the past however many years you've been in school. In my case that was English. Second group is language acquisition, so you choose a language to pick up, whether it be the common ones are like Spanish, French, German, I don't know, depends on where you are. Third group is it's called individuals and societies, so that's like the social sciences. You can choose business, economics, psychology, a bunch of stuff like that, geology even. Fourth group,
Sciences.
Fourth group is the sciences, yeah. So fourth group there's a bunch of sciences, choose some common ones, physics, chemistry, biology, those are like the main 3. Fifth group is math. So I think as of now the system for math has changed, so there's like 2 different kinds of math and there's SL and HL for each one. There's no longer the studies SL HL system. Group 6 is like arts and stuff, so if you take visual arts or theater or whatever, but you don't have to take a group 6. You can substitute a group 6 with an additional subject from either
3 or 4.
group 3 or 4, yeah. So you can take an additional humanities or an additional science. Or if you have further math, I don't know if further math is still a thing, but you can take that as well. And then there's the core, which is composed of TOK and CAS. So your TOK grade is composed of the TOK essay, TOK presentation, and extended essay.
What's TOK?
Oh man.
I mean,
TOK.
the long form of TOK.
Okay,
Like,
TOK
what does it
is
stand
called,
for?
stands for Theory of Knowledge.
Theory of knowledge.
So most likely it's going to be a class that you have to attend just like your other classes. It won't really be as useful as any of your other classes, really. It doesn't get you anywhere in life.
Yeah, it really
It
does.
just takes up a lot of your time. If you have an interesting teacher, it can be an interesting class, but most of the time it's just going to be something you just, like a TOK, you know.
I forget about after
Yeah.
learning it.
But TOK is quite important because that, like your 6 classes make up 42 out of 45 of your points, and the whole TOK that makes up 3, like the 3 remaining points.
And your EE.
And yeah, exactly, like those bonus points. CAS is just a pass or fail basis, like you have to finish it.
Creativity, action, service.
Yeah,
I think
just
it's
a
activity now, right?
activity, yeah.
Yeah, they changed the acronym to activity.
So for TOK, yeah, the TOK essay, you're gonna do that in class, and that's graded externally though. Your teacher might give you a rough idea of how much you're gonna get, but it's graded by people you don't know. TOK presentation is graded by your teacher. So one mistake I did is that I tried to kind of go above, like do something that my teacher didn't really want me to do, and he ended up giving me a really, really shitty grade. And that was like one of the biggest anime betrayals of my
So
IB
that's when
career.
the teacher really matters.
Yeah, that's when
See,
the
I
teacher
did the
matters.
exact opposite for you. I got really good from a presentation. I got 9 out of 10, so I slacked
Bro,
off for my essay,
I got a 5.
and then I got a 4 out of 10 for my essay.
Really? What was your overall TOK grade?
That's how I'm on 44, mate.
Oh,
That's
missed
how.
that one point.
See how important
Damn,
TOK and
bro.
yeah, those core points are really important.
Yes, don't underestimate your core points. They can make a difference between a 45 and a 44. And the extended essay, an essay that you choose to write in one of the subjects you're taking. It doesn't necessarily have to be in a subject you're taking, but you should. It's 1/3 of the bonus points? Or 2/3?
It's split.
Or 1/2?
You can find the grade. It's
The
exactly
matrix.
half.
Yeah,
you
it's
can
half.
find the rubric online. So
Yeah.
for TOK and your EE, you don't get grades out of 7. You get A, B, C, Ds. So then a combination from your TOK and your EE will give you your 3 points. So for example, if you get A and A, that's 3 points. If you get A and a B, that's also 3 points. But if you get a B and a B, drop down to 2 points.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a rubric online, you can go look at it.
A lot of students do different stuff for their CAS. What did you do for CAS? Like for example, my seniors who did IB, they opened a summer school at a rural area for CAS.
Bro, that's high.
Not your CAS project.
That's
the CAS
over.
project.
Yeah.
So for CAS, you need to do your base activities. So you need maybe 2 or 3 activities in creativity, activity, and service each.
And ongoing activities.
Ongoing, yeah. And then you need one big CAS project, which must involve either creativity, activity, or service, obviously. So the CAS project, I think, must last over, 3 or 4 months, right?
I think it depends on the school.
Yeah, it depends on the school.
Yeah.
But the CAS project is basically a big CAS activity, which extends for a long period of time. So for me, I started the athletics club at school.
The what?
Athletics club.
Oh, okay.
So I coached kids, did training drills with them, taught them how to throw a javelin or throw a shot put or how to do long jump. And we would do that maybe perhaps once every week. And we did that for 1 term, so that was 3 months, and that was my CAS project completed.
I remember going into IB thinking my CAS project is gonna like change the world or something. Like I'm gonna open some charity or do some huge like event or something meaningful, really. But what happens is you just get so caught up with IB that you might just forget about your CAS project until it's like 2 months of IB left, and you're like, shit, what do I have to do now? I just created like an IB association because my school didn't technically have one yet, and we organized like assembly to talk to 9th graders and 10th graders about IB, and that really was it.
So each student each student does different thing.
Yeah. You can group
I
up
see.
with other students.
Yeah, you can group up. So I group
Because
up
my
with-
seniors opened a summer school.
Yeah, you can group up with other students and combine together for a CAS project.
And it can be something like in my school, for example, we had the MUN. So if you were holding a high position MUN, like if you're president of a forum,
MUN?
in MUN, yeah,
What's
Model
MUN?
Model United Nations. So they'd allow that to count as your CAS project. But again, I think that depends on the school. So your counselors will probably have more information about that.
I see. So that's pretty much it for the technical aspects. The third part will be about the personal experiences, like your study habits, your study techniques, and exam practice tips. Yeah. So let's start off with the study habits. How was your study habit? Like, did you stay up until 2 a.m., 3 a.m. in the morning and study, or like, how was the routine?
Well, I always prefer to do my assignments really late, and I'd really recommend you guys not, because most of your assignments you only get 1 draft, and then that 1 draft is the only review you'll get from your teachers. So yeah, I'd recommend you guys finish a bit earlier, take some time yourself to reflect on it, and then try and make your first draft as good as possible, so then your teachers can have good reviews on it, and then make your final assessment perfect.
Yeah, like about that also, a lot of people don't take the first draft seriously and they hand in like absolute rubbish, and it really just harms them in the end, because your first draft is literally the only opportunity to get good, meaningful feedback from your teacher. And in the end, for internal assessments, it is graded by your teacher. Like, it's moderated externally, but for the most part, your grade is just going to be what your teacher gives you. So like, make use of that opportunity.
Yeah, try to impress your teachers with your first draft so they can see that you've put in effort, and maybe they'll be a bit more lenient in the final grading of your assessments.
Are the teachers like really important for the IB to get a good score? Like,
It's
very important.
There's a comparison between getting a good predicted grade and the final
I see.
score. So it depends on where you apply, really. So if you're applying to the US, the UK, Hong Kong, where they take your predicted grades and give you an offer, then I'd say impressing teachers from day one is really important. Teachers are really important if you want that predicted grade.
I see.
Yeah, but in terms of like the actual grade and how you perform in the final examinations, I'd say teachers, depends on the subject. Like, for example, I took SL Economics, which is one of the easier subjects that you can take as a SL. Teacher wasn't really good. So I really just self-taught a large portion of that subject, and I ended up getting a 7 in it.
Yeah.
But for example, a class like, I don't know, math, for example, I took HR math, and the teacher made a huge difference. He was a really good teacher. I'm thankful for that, and I think if you have a poor teacher in a subject that you're not naturally really good in, or for example, a really demanding subject, teacher will make a big difference. A bad teacher will probably lower your score in the end.
Yeah, that's a good point. It really depends on the teacher, really. Because if you have a bad teacher, it won't really help you at all, and you'll probably be spending a lot of time self-studying or kind of going online trying to learn everything yourself. But a good teacher, you have to recognize, like I said, on day one, you have to recognize a lot of things. You have to recognize whether your teacher is capable of actually teaching your subject, because sometimes the school just allocates a subject to a teacher and they're actually not qualified to teach the subject. Yeah, some of my friends for SL chemistry had a psychology major as the SL chemistry teacher, and they all flunked the exam. So yeah, it really depends whether teachers are important or whether the teacher's actually good and capable of teaching the subject or whether they're not.
Yeah, so try and get to know who your teachers are before you pick your subject, because that can be useful. Like for example, the classes or the subjects that you don't really care about. Like in my case, that was the individuals and society, the group 3, I think. I chose economics because I read online, it was easy. But what I should have done is I should have tried to find out from like past students which teacher is really the best in that area, like the business teacher, the economics teacher, psychology also, and went with the class that had the best teacher. Because in my case, I didn't really care about what subject it was, and if I had chosen a subject that had a really good teacher who was like maybe an examiner, for example, or just had lots of experience in that subject and teaching it, it would have made my life way easier.
I started revising around 2 or 3 months before my exam, and I actually got really lucky with some of the grade boundaries. I remarked economics from 6 to a 7. My English was 1 mark above the grade boundary. A lot of things were really narrow, but I managed to get a 44, yeah, but it's not a good habit to get into. I guess it depends on what kind of person you are. I'm the person that likes to revise late and revise chunks at a time.
Cram.
Yeah, I like cramming, whereas some people like to split the revision over the entire 2 years, learn something in class and then revise that, learn something in class and revise it again. So I'm not saying my method is like not good, but yeah, it depends on what kind of person you are. But if you know that you're not good at cramming last minute, then please don't do it. It's really not a good habit to get into.
You can actually cram for IB. I thought IB was like ongoing thing. Like your performance needs to be really good throughout the study period.
Yeah, it does. That's why my UPG wasn't as good as I'd hoped that it would be. But being honest, if you keep up with everything you need to know, it really helps, especially with sciences and your IAs. Because if you learn about each individual chapter of your textbook, then you learn about new things, then you learn about new experiments you can do, and then at the end of the day, you can gather up all of those ideas and come up with an experiment that you want to do for your assignment, which is really helpful. Whereas if you leave everything to the end and you cram, then you really don't have much idea of what you want to do for your experiment. And you're really limited to the maybe 1 or 2 ideas you have. Whereas if you keep on going and keep revising and keep learning, then you maybe have ideas for every single section from the syllabus, which is really helpful considering some of your experiment ideas might not be approved by a teacher.
And the way that the IB curriculum is for most classes is constructed is that subject chapters really build upon each other, and this is more so for sciences, but like in something such as economics, it's the same.
Yeah.
So if you once you learn a unit or a chapter or a topic or whatever, and you revise it and study it and make sure you really grasp that knowledge as you go, it will make learning other stuff down the road much easier. I remember early on in chemistry, for example, I had a volleyball tournament, so I skipped a bunch of classes because I wasn't there, and I was never bothered to go back and relearn what I missed, and that stuff that I missed was always like a gap in my knowledge that would literally take away, deduct points from me, on every single exam and would give me a lot of concepts later that I learned that were still kind of shaky because I didn't understand the core. So if you really make sure that you know everything as you go along, instead of just waiting for the very end to cram everything together, that will be helpful and will take away a lot of like stress. And yeah, it's a good habit. You're not gonna regret it, you know. But again, it's much easier said than done.
So you guys had completely different study habits.
Yeah.
Not really. Like, I mean, I didn't do what he did, but I didn't really do what I just said either.
It's a hard habit to get into.
Yeah, it's-
keep studying maybe every single week. It's difficult.
You just do what you do, and I mean, as long as on a weekly basis or like a bi-weekly basis, you feel like you're not lagging behind too much, you're about okay, you know. Try and stay roughly on task, and you'll survive.
So how about your like study techniques? By study technique, I mean any websites that helped you or any.
No, yo, IBdocuments.com, baby.
I have a lot of IB documents that I can bless the world with right now.
Nah,
Share like.
It's not even links. The most important thing is just
The
past
most-
papers. Past
Yeah,
papers
past papers.
are the
Past
most
papers.
important thing.
Yeah.
And start early.
What would you say like 3 most important things? First, past papers.
Past papers. Past papers is
past
the
papers,
only
past
thing.
papers.
That's the most important thing when you revise.
Where do you get your past papers? Is there a website?
Yeah,
There's IB repository, IB
Yeah.
documents. If you go to Reddit, you'll find a bunch of people, like, you know, some friendly online strangers
Yeah.
posting random links.
I see.
There's always some way to get it. Yeah.
So it's,
Yeah.
it's like basically the same with A levels. Like
Yeah.
you do enough past papers and you're good at it.
Yeah, you get the hang of the
But-
question.
But really, it's something that I
There's
figured
like
out.
a pattern going on.
Yeah, something that I figured out a few months before my final exams that I think really made the difference in my score is that because I was predicted lower than I was predicted at 39, so I think like that 3-point jump, a large part of it came from like this secret habit I'm gonna share with you guys. Get ready. No, but really, so it's doing past papers, but really taking the most out of the past papers. So I would do it in exam condition.
yeah,
Like
definitely.
close the door, just kind of isolate myself and time it, make sure that I'm not going over the time that I'm given. And then after I do it, I'd open up the mark scheme. And then something else that's really helpful is the subject report. It's not always easy to find the subject report for each test, but subject reports basically tell you, first of all, they tell you the boundaries. A lot of them, especially for sciences, they go question by question and tell you what most candidates did wrong or just tips and general insight by the IB examiners. And then, so you go through it, you grade yourself really objectively because, I mean, the stricter you grade yourself, the better, honestly, because that's when you're going to see even more improvement. If you're really lenient with yourself in the first place, then you're not really going to change.
I'd say get a friend to mark it for you, so you both do papers and then both
Yeah,
peer
that's
mark.
also
Peer marking
good.
is really good because, well, if you're marking someone else's paper, you won't be like really, you won't go easy on them, I guess.
You
yeah.
put yourself in the examiner's position
Yeah,
too,
yeah.
so you know like how examiners like
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
examine your paper.
And then as you grade and everything you get wrong, or what I did was everything I got wrong, I'd double check like the mark scheme, the subject report, and if I didn't understand I go to the textbook and make sure I know it. So in class I would always be taking notes, and by the end of the 2 years I had a large notebook for each class filled with notes. But what I actually studied from in the end was just like these like random loose papers that I had compiled that just I wrote down all the mistakes I've made on past papers before and how not to repeat them. That was especially relevant for chemistry, for physics, for math.
Yeah, same
Because there
here.
would be really stuff that's personal to me that I would lose marks on the test, making sure that I won't lose marks on the test. Because at that point, that's what makes a difference in your score. So if you get the most out of the past papers and you have so many past papers available to you, it's really going to make a huge difference.
I think one thing that's really important, it's like same for A levels too. Like if you made a mistake in the past papers, don't just skip it. Make sure you understand it and
Exactly.
you completely understand it.
Otherwise,
Why did you make a
you're not
mistake?
benefiting anything.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's the point of doing past papers, anyways.
Yeah.
How was the transition from the IB to university? Like, did IB really help you guys? Would you suggest your juniors to do IB as well?
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
Like no doubt. Unless you're like really just a shitty student and you shouldn't be doing IB in the first place. You know yourself. If you don't think you can handle it,
Yeah, don't do
And
it
like
if
you
can't.
really don't think you can handle it, you know, if you're already struggling with your regular grade 10 classes, which really are nothing compared to IB. Like I did American Diploma Physics in grade 10, and I'm not even kidding, that was like one topic, not even one entire topic of IB physics, and we had like 14 topics in total plus an option. So it's much more fast paced, much more content. You have to learn it alongside 5 other subjects plus TOK. So know yourself. But if you can handle it, then go for it, definitely.
So would you say like transitioning from 10th grade to IB is harder than transitioning from IB to university?
No, but from like grade 10 to IB, it is dependent on your school. So if you
Yeah.
did something like Matthew, which I probably you have not.
It's a lot. Yeah, it's a lot easier.
Yeah, it's an easier transition. But the transition from IB to university, also different factors. For me, it's moving. For you as well, for Matthew.
Nah, you stay
Yeah,
here.
you just stay here. So it's but because I took IB and I don't like my first semester classes, a lot of it is covered by what I did in IB, especially because I'm doing engineering now. So I don't have to worry so much about my classes, and that's more time that I can spend doing stuff in university or taking like just finishing the stuff that I have to do like outside academics, getting used to living in a foreign place by myself, stuff like that, you know.
Yeah, if you do IB, like you get more exemptions.
Yeah, like I
course
got
exempted.
I can graduate a year early because I did IB. It wiped off so many credits.
Yeah, same. I've exempted so many credits as well.
Not from medicine students. You guys still have to do 6 years.
Yeah, I still have to do 6 years, but
Yeah.
have you seen my timetable? It's basically
Yeah.
empty. I have to do swimming,
Yeah,
GMC. That's it.
that's the perks of doing IB. Though.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Not only you get exempted for the courses, like that you did not study actually in IB.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
Yeah, you get
For
exempted.
example, you got exempted from Chinese course.
Chinese.
Yeah, he didn't do Chinese in
like
IB.
fucking IT, PE, because you have to do PE here for
Yeah,
some
we still-
reason.
Yeah.
Stuff like that.
And it also helps you in other like courses, for example, engineering courses.
Yeah, and it helps you
Yeah.
in the placement test. Like here in
Yeah.
CU, there was like IB didn't automatically exempt me from the first level physics and math, but instead everybody has to take a placement test. So I passed both my placement tests for physics and math, so I just take the next level, and that's like saves me a lot of time. But my friends who did A levels, for example, they did A levels and they did A level math, and I think they got like an A star in both. Both of them got A stars, and they didn't pass the
Yeah.
math placement test, and I don't. They didn't pass the physics placement test either. You know, so it prepares you.
Yeah.
It's so much content that you're gonna take that's gonna
Yeah,
Somewhere in
some of it
between
is
that,
going to overlap with the university. For
a
example,
lot of it.
Yeah,
Especially in the first semester.
because I did chemistry and my option was biochemistry, and there's literally an entire course for medicine that's just biochemistry. And
Yeah.
yeah, well, in the lectures, I'm basically relearning everything I learned in IB, so it's really helpful.
Also for the like general education courses here, while I'm like struggling with philosophy and stuff, like you guys did TOK, so you guys
Yeah.
are like pretty,
Yeah.
it's
And
pretty easy
having
for you
to
guys.
write the long
But it's hard
essays,
for me.
you can just make. You can.
Yeah.
write,
Yeah,
like,
EE's
no
3,000, 4,000 words. When they ask us to write like a 500 word essay, it's just
Yeah, it's that.
10, 15 minutes and we're done. So it really prepares you for those long essays. Wrap it up, bro. Thank you guys for watching. If you liked the video, please leave a like and subscribe. For more videos, please leave a comment. Let me know what you guys want to see
I can
next.
take the lead.
Follow
See
my
you.
YouTube channel as well. When I make one.
Are you gonna make one?
Nah.
Thank you. That's it for today, guys. This is basically about the IB course and the study tips for IB students. And personally, I studied A levels. I didn't do IB, so I don't really know much about it. But I will be doing about A level study tips and tricks video soon too with some of my A level friends. So yeah, I hope you got a lot of help. I hope this video helped you. So if you liked it, please consider subscribing. And
See you guys next time. Yeah.
and also comment below what you guys want to see next time. And thank you for watching.
Wait, and if you see this video, bookmark it, and then 2 years from now, if you choose to do IB, leave a comment about,
Yeah.
how much this video has helped or not helped you in your IB adventure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you for watching, guys.
What was your E?
Chinese.
Really?
Yeah.
What was yours?
Math.
I should have done
Math.
physics, mate. Oh my god.
Physics is you have to experiment and
No, but I'm good at physics, so it's like, I enjoy physics.
yeah.
God damn it. B for that.
F.